Right.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special Talking Some episode. Bailey's with us. Thanks so much for joining,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
especially since you're doing this on your lunch break, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully I don't get interrupted because it's very hard to get privacy here. So
I
yeah,
hear.
getting interrupted.
Well, again, very, very much appreciate you being here. And you actually worked with Michelle one-on-one a bit. I had a few calls with you, and you joined our immunity program as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about those experiences. But first and foremost, tell us a little bit about how your insomnia started.
So yeah, I guess kind of quick, brief explanation. I got COVID in May of 2021, and ended up losing my smell and taste along with that, and I guess it kind of got me amped up in the sense like it really brought on a lot of anxiety, and just with I guess getting COVID, it brought on just a lot of anxiety just because it was so unknown. Even though I thought of myself as not being affected by it. Anyways, so I basically lost my smell and taste for it was over 3 months, and but before that, before I started coming back, I basically started not sleeping, and then I didn't really think of it too much, I guess, in the beginning because I was just so stressed out. But then after a while, I kind of forgot about the whole I can't smell and taste to, well, I'm not sleeping and something's wrong with me. And like I was just wired. Like probably a lot of people can, feel the same in that very beginning. It's so, it takes over your life. Like it literally, it is your life, and it's like you're in that fight or flight constant, and you're just like, I don't know. So I, of course, naturally I went to the doctor, and they give you all sorts of stuff. And they diagnose you, oh, you have an anxiety disorder. And then I start kind of living that too, because they diagnose you. And then I wasn't able to work. It just affected my whole life in a sense where, yeah, I didn't work for 7 months. I was off work. It was terrible. I'm a really independent person. Um, it was an extremely traumatic experience for me. I don't know, I guess, how else to explain it other than um, it affected absolutely everything about my life. And
Yeah.
I've never gone anything through like that before. And I mean, I know a lot of people that have gone through this have children. So I couldn't imagine, I guess, having children on top of that. So then it was like extra stress about me thinking, well, it could be worse. Like you could have this. So why are you like this? Why are you like this? Um, yeah. So that's what really was the driver for me, like a trigger, an anxiety trigger, and then the no sleeping, and then everything evolved around no sleeping. And then of course, making the mistake of Googling everything. Um, Nothing useful would come up. It was all basically like a doomsday for me. Everything that I read, it was like, well, if you're like this for X amount of time, it's just harder to go away. You're just stuck like this. And that's also very hard to, cope with. And yeah.
Wow. Now we get, real sense of how intense this was. And just, to give us a picture, was it that for you, was it that like when you didn't sleep, you were kind of like up all night, or was it very fitful sleep or little sleep, or what was it like?
So in the beginning, I was just wired, like just laying there, like just jacked, and I can't ever remember at the time being tired. Like I was like, what is wrong with me? Because at first I was kind of like, well, this is weird. Like I was just in such a state of a panic awakeness. Like that was at first, and then um later on I just started to feel like exhausted, and then it was just like a constant fight with myself. I would describe that as like, progression, and I kind of started to have windows of like maybe getting better, but I was always also fighting with not taking medication. um, so that was a huge I guess now that I look back, it was probably pretty helpful because I don't need medication to sleep. Nobody does.
So yeah, you're absolutely right, and I wanted to spend time about like what led you to see that and experience that, of course. But just one more question about like when it all started and was really intense. Can you tell us a bit of like what things did you try? Did you go through the usual like sleep hygiene and supplements and things like that, or what did
Yeah.
you try?
Well, so it was a lot of the Googling that I did. It was like, oh, sleep hygiene, sleep in a dark room. And I guess one of the things that really stood out to me was don't sleep with pets in the room. And I have two dogs. And my one dog, especially, I've had her for 10 years, and she's always slept in the bed with me. And but she snores. But it was never an issue for me. Like I was just a really good sleeper, normal sleeper, or just average. And like sometimes she'd wake me up, but it became something that I focused on. And so something that would normally give me joy became stress. So yeah. And it was just like, oh, I can't sleep in another, I went from like room to room. I bought like this weighted blanket. It was like, oh, dark, oh, don't watch TV, like don't do all this stuff. And it just becomes like you're just doing everything to help sleep, but all it does is prevent it,
Yeah,
honestly. Just
yeah.
now that I know what I know, yeah. it
So you did you put like have your dog sleep in a different room, or did what happened there?
so I'd have like, because I was so scared to be by myself, especially in the beginning while I was taking all these different medications to see what would work. And so like if my boyfriend would stay with me or my mom, I'd have the dogs like stay kind of with them, or I'd try to go to another room. And I
Yeah,
remember trying to like lock my dogs out of the room, and it was just like traumatic for them, and I'm like, what am I doing? This is um it was, yeah, just kind of going back to that mind frame. Oh man, it's I can't imagine living like that. Like it was just probably it was the worst thing I ever went through.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. And now, was it like pretty quickly after this cycle has started, you went on sick leave?
yeah. So basically, I got sent home when I got COVID, and then within 3 weeks, like I was still off work because I had actually gotten also pretty sick. Um, So I was off work because of that. And then within 3 weeks, I developed a pretty severe case of insomnia, or anxiety,
Yeah,
disorder, as they like to call it. So yeah, I was off work um, uh, from May all the way. I tried to go back in the summer, like August, and it was, I went back for a few days and it didn't work out. It was just the sleeping pills weren't working. So they sent me home, and then I
yeah,
was off until basically December 30th. I went back to work, and I was like, no matter what, I'm going to make this work. We're going to get through this somehow. Um, I'm a pretty strong person, I guess, so to speak. So going through this, I was determined to, I guess, beat this. I knew that there had to be, something I could do. There had to be something I could go through. Now, meanwhile, through all this, I hadn't ever talked to anybody that had experienced what I was going through. Everybody that I talked to, they're like, "What do you mean you can't sleep? Like that doesn't make sense to me." And then you feel like really alienated, and it's frustrating because you're trying to explain like what you're going through, and everybody just looks at you like, "What do you? That's just stupid. That sounds silly." And then it doesn't make you feel any better. Like you don't want to be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I 100% completely understand. And I guess before we go towards like when you found, our channel and you started working with Michelle, etc. Before we go there, just one final question, which is during the stretch when you were not working, you were in this struggle. What were your days like? Were they kind of consumed by like worrying, or were you able to do anything productive? What was it like?
Well, I was trying to do actually everything to keep my mind occupied. I was like, well, if I work out really hard, you know, or I'll keep a schedule. So it was basically like, don't upset yourself. Like, don't upset yourself. We got to keep like a routine going. But a lot of times I remember waking up, right? Or sorry, not waking up. I was just, okay, I'm going to get up out of bed and start my day, because I'm just sitting there in bed, not, yeah, just frantically worrying. I would basically start crying as I was working out, trying to get through this, or just, when is this going to go away? So a lot of my mornings started out with, I was just, like, all by myself while I was with my dogs. And then I tried to go horseback riding, because I'm a really avid horseback rider, and I love to go camping in the mountains with them, and I didn't enjoy that stuff anymore. I remember a period where I was like, why do I have horses? I couldn't enjoy anything.
Yeah.
And it almost puts you in a depressed state, because it's, yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. That was the feelings that I had. And everybody, would think like, oh, you're off work. It must be great. Oh yeah, it was great to be at home and just so uncomfortable with yourself. And yeah, it was terrible. Like, I wanted to be at work. I didn't want to be at home. And I was seeing a psychologist, and it was kind of like a crutch to keep. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a lot of help, to be honest. It wasn't, because he said some, useful things like, you're thinking about sleep all the time, so it becomes elusive. Well, okay, how do I not make it elusive?
Right.
There was no steps to help me other than like, oh, what you're going through is it's fine. You're going to get better. So I guess holding on to somebody telling me that it's going to be okay
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you
somewhat.
have somebody who says okay, but it's on one hand, it's true, of course, if we wouldn't think about sleep, we would sleep fine, but that doesn't help much. Like that's nothing tangible. There's no real education or support, nothing. There's real no real path there, right? But yeah, now thanks, for painting this picture, a very clear picture of how intense things were for a while there. And now, um, when did you come across our teaching, our channel, and how?
So I ended up going on Reddit, and I'm sorry, the gal, her name escapes my mind right now, but she had talked, because I was all basically in my mind like, well, maybe I need to stay on clonazepam, like maybe this is my only way out, you know. And then so I was on Reddit, and I came across a post, and I'm sorry, her name escapes me right now, and then she had referenced your channel, and then I was like, okay, well, this, like, she couldn't say enough good things, and I was like, this is great, this is awesome. Okay, I'm gonna look this up, and then I went to your YouTube channel, and I started, slowly getting into your videos, but at the same time, I didn't want to immerse myself into it, because I felt like if I immersed myself into it, things would get worse too. Like, I was in kind of this, well, don't upset yourself mode. I had gotten somewhat better around April, just being back to work and kind of getting like a normal routine, going. But also, they tried to put me on back on night shift, and that just, oh, that didn't go well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm literally trying to get better, just sleeping normally, and then they want to throw me on night shift. So that was also kind of another hiccup. And then things were kind of going like somewhat okay. I'd still have nights that, like, I was just stressing myself out over it. Like, it was just a fight within myself, basically, is what it was. Um, but then I guess I want to say I had an upset happen. I was kind of like, don't upset yourself, because if you don't upset yourself, everything will keep going fine, which also is not a way to go about this. But then it kind of rocked the boat for a while in June. And that's, I guess, June, July is when I found your channel, and I started talking. I made an appointment with Michelle, and I started, I got your two books, and I read the books, but things weren't like clicking just yet completely. I was like reading it and I'm like, okay, I need to do stuff. Like there's stuff that I need to do to get through this. And then, when you're through it, you don't realize that you just need the information. And then when you read like the information, you talk to people that have gone through this, it's like it all just slowly clicks. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Like it was a gradual progression. Um, so, I mean, I guess looking back on this, it'd be interesting to see how I would have done initially if I would have found your program right off the bat, when I was in that like super um, intense insomnia anxiety compared to when I was just a little bit, more like handling it. I would say like I was just kind of like, well, this is what it's like, I guess. Like this is how I'm gonna live. Um, but it was stressful because I felt really like a weak person, and generally, like I've had in the past, ran my own company. I was a very busy person. I work in industrial field, so like it's a very high paced, fast. You're thinking. You got to be on the ball too because it's also a little bit dangerous. So it felt like I was a pretty big failure. Like I couldn't handle my life anymore. It was like, oh, well, I can't do this or change, go to my boyfriend's house or change beds or, and it puts a pretty big strain on all sorts of relationships that you do have. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah, no, I completely understand. So I'm again going back to the story here. Like, so somewhere in July, you found the channel. You were a little bit kind of like, let's not rock the boat. You didn't jump
Yeah,
in, right?
sorry,
Um,
off topic there. I was like kind of rambling.
not
Um,
at all. It was all very helpful. But when and you had a few calls with Michelle, and was it kind of like little by little, automatically things started to click, or do you remember some kind of insight or experience that really made a difference for you?
so the biggest one I would say, and I apologize, I was going to bring my notebook because I did write a diary for a while, and I had and I was thinking I should write an email later with kind of a story as well that maybe be helpful. But anyways, uh, the thing that was super helpful for me is, and this goes back to my strong personality and high drive, is like you really got to give yourself grace. You got to take it easy on yourself because when I talk with Michelle and she, kind of, we'd talk about, I guess, like, oh, I felt that and she felt that and it's okay. Like, that's all normal. Like your hyper sleep is completely normal. And that like helped kind of calm things. But the biggest thing was like, you need to take it easy on yourself. And I remember distinctly the day that it happened. Because I work shift work. So it's 7 days on, 7 days off oh, sorry, my phone was ringing. Um, pardon me.
No problem.
Um, so yeah, so 7 days on, 7 days off, and I fly in and out from work. So I remember getting home, and I get home around midnight when I get home, and I'm just gonna do what I want to do. I'm gonna start enjoying things that I want to enjoy again, like watching TV in bed, because I always enjoyed that. It was a problem for me. I'm gonna enjoy my dogs in my bedroom. Um, and I just remember like if you wake up, you're gonna wake up and you're gonna get up and you're gonna go on with your day. And I don't know how to explain how it happened, but I just remember like this huge relief. It was just like it was the best feeling I had felt in throughout the whole process. And it was just like like finally telling yourself like it's okay and being gentle with yourself, as maybe as silly as it sounds, but being kind of like a high drive person, it was always like go 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 go, like don't be easy on yourself, like how to so
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
So amazing hearing this. And to me, it sounds like a story of like in the past, the mindset had been like, okay, it's midnight. Now I gotta do something to kind of make myself sleep or make it right. And then now it's just like, no, I'm leaving that and I'm just doing something I feel like, and there's so much freedom coming from that. Was it something along those lines, right?
Yeah, and it was like, well, we're gonna wake up when you wake up. Because usually, generally speaking, if I think back years, my first night back, generally I'd get home at midnight, but I'd still wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. because, the whole shift that I work, I'm up early. I get generally 6, 7 hours of sleep. Sometimes I get 8 or 9. Um, Sometimes I sleep in now just like I used to. Sometimes I wake up early, and it's just that that whole inner struggle is just gone, because that's what I found it really was. It was just this inner struggle, and when like you really let go of that struggle, it really starts to fade. That I mean, that was for me anyways. Like there's always, and then thinking like there's always going to be stressful situations in your life you can't avoid.
Yeah.
So like me trying to avoid stressful situations with people or my work, like I can't, it's not avoidable. Like I can't quit my job because I can't be at work. And that was like ongoing in my mind, is like, oh, I'm going to have to find new work. Like, I don't know. It was just all these excuses I had in my head. It was, yeah, it affects. And then
Yeah.
my not wanting to bring up anything, like when I talk to them, like, oh, don't ask her how she slept. Just don't upset anything.
No, I hear. Now we were laughing about it, but I think yeah, it's a good point, because when we're scared, we of course we're hesitant. We don't want to do that, but actually, avoiding stress. It's like you said. We're trying to avoid the unavoidable, which just creates more struggle for us. And I'm trying to be mindful of your time. You have to tell me if you like you got to go. But
I still
one question I have for you is was that
another 10 minutes. I should be
Oh,
okay.
we should be good? Okay, good, good,
Yeah.
good. Because one of the things I remember was how you were going to go back to no, you had already gone back to work, but work was sort of a trigger, and because it is, I mean, naturally so, because it is shift work and it affects kind of our sleep and our circadian rhythms and all these things. But when you went back to work in December, tell us about that process. Was it kind of like really intense the first weeks, or what was it like?
It was like I was almost back to that kind of wired state where I was just awake all the time and kind of like a fog during the day. But then I ended up actually compromising with myself, and I ended up taking a very low dose of mirtazapine, which would kind of like take the edge off. But it was also something that I was like fighting with because I didn't want to take anything. So I used it, I guess, as a little bit of a stepping stone to kind of take nerves away. And you know, it somewhat worked, I guess, whether it was a physical or just like a mental thing. I don't know. Um, so that, I guess, allowed me to continue staying at work, because I wasn't going to call in sick. I was like, nope, you're going to show up every day. Like, you're going to get through this. I had kind of a plan to slowly get back to work, where I worked like light duty in the office for a little bit, because generally working on live process conditions, like it would have been unsafe. Like I wasn't, like some nights I would get like 2 hours, or there'd be like 3 days in a row I wouldn't sleep at all. And I'd be up here though. Like it was tough. Like, but I think looking back, being able to go back and forth and staying true to the course, I think it helped me get over this. Like it wasn't an enjoyable process. It's not easy. Like it's not easy. That's all I can say. Like I had, good days and bad days, more bad days than good. Getting to where I am now. But I think overall, when I look at it, if I wouldn't have done that, I don't think my recovery would have been as quick. I think it really helped. Like just, no, we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
We're gonna get. So yeah, it was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of restless, like a lot of that hyper sleep.
Yeah.
So you don't feel great, right? You feel, I don't know, pretty loopy during the day, like kind of in a fog. Um, but it does gradually get better, and just also not putting a timeline
Yeah.
on anything was also helpful. It's like, well, if this takes another year, who cares? Because I have the information, like reading all the information in your books, going through the course. It's so helpful. I can't begin to tell you how thankful I am. Like, and yeah, I don't know how else to describe it other than it was meant to be that I found the program,
Yeah.
and I was able to talk with Michelle, and I was able to talk with you guys, and there was insecurities there in the beginning, and then you can kind of take away what you need, and yeah, basically I mean, I'm the only person, you're the only person that can, get yourself through this. So I don't know what else I can say that would
No,
get.
no, it was beautifully said, and just I'm so glad we connected. Of course, that's amazing that you found us, and everything turned out so well. But the story you're telling me is like, to me when I hear it, it's like, yes, sometimes we need sort of the courage to do things that we've been scared of, but it was also so much of like self-kindness that helped you kind of like, okay, I'm going to take this mirtazapine and not be hard on myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push myself to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to start a little slowly, right? It's that kindness, the grace really is so helpful, right?
And then basically when you get a lot of courage, like I was kind of like, well, if I need to here and there, I'll take it when I need it. And then it was just like, I just don't take anything anymore. Like I was on a natural herbal supplement from my naturopath doctor, and it was like, don't want to depend. It became a dependency because like you think you need it, and then when you don't take it, you're like, oh my god, I'm not going to sleep because I'm not taking this, and then so when you kind of get that over, like little super inner battles with yourself, and I'm so thankful that I found the information, because I think some of this medication over time becomes dependent. Become dependent on it, whether it's natural or not. And I don't know, it was not something that I think I needed, and I've definitely found I don't. It's what changed in me that I thought I needed something all of a sudden, like go out through my whole 37 years of life, and to what, like just something just changed like immediately, and I don't know, it's just
No, no, makes makes total sense. I mean, exactly like you said, you've slept well for 37 years. Then why would anything really change except kind of our thoughts and beliefs? But finally, here, are you back enjoying your horses?
oh 100%. Like I've actually, well, this summer it was pretty warm. I didn't get out too much just because it was so hot and not as enjoyable. But I have gone on a couple trips to the mountains, and then close to my house, lots of riding. I'm out enjoying them again, just like I used to. And I thought to myself, where would I be right now if I didn't have them? Like it's there. I've had them my entire life. Like I've had one horse specifically since I was 11 years old, and I can't think of my like why. Oh, yeah. So it's definitely, you've given me back my life fully. Like even during the healing process, it was like starting to see like the end, as in it's a good end. Like being able to get not hope, but you just know like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, fully back into life. Like um yeah, how else do I describe it? It's just I can fully live my life now again.
That's I have nothing more to add. That's just a beautiful end to this interview. So yeah, yeah, I want to just say so happy you found us. We found you, and so thankful for you coming and sharing the story, Bailey.
Hopefully it was helpful. So
No,
enjoy
absolutely.
talking
It
about
was
it.
really nice. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.